Thanks for tuning in. Ham Talk Live will be on the air shortly. Please stand by. Thanks for tuning in. Ham Talk Live will be on the air shortly. Please stand by. This episode of Ham Talk Live is brought to you by Tower Electronics. For cables, connectors, and more, call 920-435-2973 or visit pl-259.com. And by the Ham Station. Get your new radio or antenna by calling 800-729-4373 or go to hamstation.com.
It's Ham Radio.
Good evening, everyone. It's time for another edition of Ham Talk Live. It's episode number 37. FlexRadios with Gerald Youngblood, K5SDR, recorded live on Thursday, October 27th, 2016. I'm your host, Neil Rapp, WB9VPG. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Ham Talk Live. Tonight, we're joined by Gerald Youngblood, K5SDR, the founder of FlexRadios, and we'll take your calls live in just a few minutes. Remember, if you miss the show, you can listen anytime at hamtalklive.com or on Stitcher, iTunes, Google Play, TuneIn, SoundCloud, or YouTube. Get your questions ready to go. After the interview, you can call us on Skype at the username HamTalkLive or by telephone, of course. That phone number is 812-NET-HAM1, 812-638-4261. You can also send your questions via Twitter. You can start doing that now, actually. Our Twitter handle is @HamTalkLive. Well, before we go to break, got a little treat here for everybody running CQ Worldwide this weekend. We have a guest that wanted just a minute to speak to you. So this is for all those people working CQ Worldwide, hopefully including myself this weekend.
Everyone in the audience on Ham Talk Live today is going to get one of my favorite things. You get a 5-9. You get a 5-9. Everyone gets a 5-9.
So hopefully everybody gets a 5-9. Well, I'll be back with K5SDR right after this word from Tower Electronics right here on Ham Talk Live. This episode of Ham Talk Live is brought to you in part by Tower Electronics. Tower Electronics has been the Ham's dime store since 1978. When you need connectors, mobile and handheld antennas, cables, or adapters, visit Scott or Jill at a Hamfest near you. Or you can order online at pl-259.com or call 920-435-2973. Stock up on those supplies like PL259 and N connectors, SMA adapters, audio cables, soldering supplies, mobile antennas, and ham sticks. Their silver-plated N connectors are even used on the International Space Station. Tower Electronics carries MFJ, Comet, Daiwa, OPEC, Workman, and Ham Pro products. And don't miss their 0% off sale going on now. Tower Electronics, online at pl-259.com, proud to sponsor this episode of Ham Talk Live.
Coming to you live from the glass enclosed Faraday box, here's Neil Rapp with more Ham Talk Live.
Thanks once again to Scott and Jill at Tower Electronics for sponsoring the show to help bring you Ham Talk Live tonight. They will be at the Lawrenceburg, Georgia Hamfest, November 5th and 6th, and then Fort Wayne, Indiana on November 12th and 13th. Or you can give them a call. 920-435-2973 is their phone number. Or visit their website at pl-259.com and tell them you heard it right here on Ham Talk Live. Ham Talk Live is on the air every Thursday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Time right here on hamtalklive.com. And if you miss the show, you can listen to the archive on the website or download it from most popular podcasting websites. Gerald Youngblood founded FlexRadio Systems in April of 2003. As president and CEO, he is responsible for managing the day-to-day operations of the company. Prior to FlexRadio Systems, he founded and ran 5 technology companies, spanning from hardware, software, and electronic manufacturing. He's been a ham since 1967 as WA5RXV, KE5OH, AC5OG, and now holds an extra class license as K5SDR. Gerald received a BSEE degree from Mississippi State, and he's the recipient of the ARRL 2002 Doug DeMaw W1FB Technical Excellence Award and the Central States VHF Society 2004 John T. Chambers Award. So welcome tonight to Ham Talk Live. We're glad you could join us.
Thanks, Neil. I really appreciate the opportunity.
So tell us a little bit about starting up FlexRadio. What made you decide to take the leap to start that up and get into the software-defined radio business?
Well, I often call it an accidental company. I got into ham radio when I was a teenager and just was fascinated with the technology, and that ended up directing my career into electrical engineering and then into starting companies, as you've said. And as many of us do, when life happens and we have kids and career, the ham radio hobby that we loved as teenagers kind of fell to the wayside until my son was about 12 years old, and I took him to a field day, and he got interested in getting a license. I think it was more to just do something with Dad, and it got me back in the hobby. And I got real interested in PSK 31 that had just come along in the late 1990s, and it intrigued me that maybe I could build a radio with a PC and a sound card using technology that I learned about in college. And so that I set off just as a hobby to see if I could build a software-defined radio. That was about 1999. And I worked about 3 or 4 years really hard, having to dig in and study and relearn all the mathematics that I'd not had in about 40 years. And ended up building what became the SDR 1000, wrote a series of articles for QEX called A Software-Defined Radio for the Masses. And that generated hundreds of emails from all over the world from people who said it had reinvigorated their interest in the technical part of the hobby. And so through those articles, I decided to, around 2002, late 2002, decided that maybe I would make some of those early SDRs available. And I sent an email to a lot of to the list of people who had contacted me and said, I'll take orders for 10. Tell me why you should get one of these 10. Well, I got 50 orders the first day, and I think I got 500 orders in the first 9 months. And that was how FlexRadio started. It was not something that I originally set out to build a product and start a company, but it's serendipitously turned into one because there were so many people interested. And so that was the birth of the SDR 1000.
Well, it's just taken everything by storm, and so now that you've done this for a while, and it's a solid option for hams, What do you think's going to happen in the future with software-defined radio? Do you think all the radio manufacturers are going to try to copy what you've done, and is that going to be the standard? Is super heterodyne gone?
Well, I do believe that SDRs will ultimately completely dominate. They already do in the cell phone industry. Every one of your smartphones are really SDRs, and the base stations that run them are SDRs. So I would say, yes, we're going to see everything moving to SDR, or you won't be able to play in the future. There are a number of reasons for that. First of all, because they're software defined, they have tremendous flexibility in how you can configure those systems and improve them over time. I will say that there's a difference. I've started to describe it as big S or small s DR. Many things might be a small SDR, a small s, in that they might use SDR technology to a limited extent, but they're not that flexible in terms of being modified. I use it with a big S on the software in terms of being highly configurable. In fact, the Flex 6000 series, which we started shipping in 2013, everything from the antenna port to the audio is software defined. In other words, we literally digitize the RF signal coming in at the antenna port, and we are able to do 100% of the processing. Everything from mixers to amplification to filtering, etc., is all done in software, all the way to the final audio conversion. So it's truly software defined. That means that you can change modulation schemes, you can add modulation schemes, you can change filtering structures, you can add and even do things at the RF frequencies in programmable hardware called FPGAs. So yes, the answer is everything will move to SDR, and we feel that we have a strong lead in that area, and not only in terms of the radio itself, but in terms of making the radio a server. Every one of our radios are servers that sit on your home LAN, so that frees you from having to be at the radio. In fact, I can use my radio on the deck in the backyard using my iPad or Maestro. You can even use it on an iPhone. So it has so many different capabilities that we have not even realized all of them yet.
And one of the things that I found interesting, and it was all the rage at Contest University last year, is that there is one thing that had to be hardware for a lot of people, and that's the big knob. So you introduced the Maestro to take care of the need for that big knob.
That's right. In fact, we did it in a different way from what anyone has done before. First of all, we went out and interviewed about 15 top contesters, and we asked them what did they like and what did they not like about their current station, what were their dreams, what would help them improve their scores, and we used that to drive the user interface of Maestro. And a few things that we heard is that you want to have the right controls, no more and no less. You may have seen radios that have hundreds of buttons and knobs. Well, those can be quite confusing when you've been up for 24 hours. Also, after 24 hours, your fingers can get awfully fat. And so we wanted to make sure that there was plenty of spacing between the controls and they were exactly the right controls. So that was step one. Step two is we wanted to make sure that you didn't lose the visual capabilities that SDR can bring. And so we put an 8-inch high definition touchscreen on the Maestro, so that you can see extremely weak signals on the display, and simply tap tune them if you want a quick QSY. So that was number 2. Number 3 is we wanted to make the device completely portable, so that you could take it around the house or on the deck, etc. And so Maestro with a battery weighs less than 4 pounds. And I have a 12 amp hour battery on mine that's the size of a cell phone, and it will run for 5 hours anywhere in my house on that battery. So that has been a significant enhancement in capability to using an SDR. It works either over wired Ethernet or Wi-Fi, and it gives you complete flexibility of where you use it. And we, in fact, some top contesters are using it in recent contests. I noticed that Charlie Romeo 3 Whiskey used Maestro with a 6700 in the CQ Worldwide, and they made over 10,500,000 points in CQ Worldwide. Half of the contacts were made on the 6700 with the Maestro, and so that was a real win for us. And K9CT used it in the same contest, and they were number 1 in the U.S. in multi-2 category. So we're pretty excited about that product. I do want to mention also that recently we announced Smart SDR for iOS that runs on both iPhones and iPads and gives you the full capabilities of Smart SDR, which is our radio operating environment, and it's available now on the Apple Store.
Oh, very good, very good. For those who haven't seen an SDR work or been able to play with one, what would you say are the biggest advantages to using an SDR over a standard super heterodyne radio?
Well, I would say the first one that you'll notice is their visual radios. And if they're built correctly, I mean high definition visual. So it completely changes your view of the bands in that you can very easily see what's going on an entire band. In fact, with some of our radios, up to 8 bands at once. So you can watch for openings on multiple bands, watch the beacons. You could be watching for openings on 6 meters while you're working 20 meters. Also, you can work on multiple bands at once. For example, we've enabled full duplex and single operator 2 radio capabilities so that you could be in a contest running on 20 meters and S&P search and pounce on 15 at the same time if you have suitable antenna isolation. In DXing, it really gives you an advantage in that with the high definition display, you can very quickly detect what the pattern is and know where the best place to call, and many times break the pile up in the first or second call. Another thing is the performance and the sound. Because we go to digital in one step, you eliminate 100% of the analog circuitry that tends to, I say 100%, there is a little bit of analog circuitry between the digital section and converting it back to audio, but you can have extremely low distortion audio and ultra low distortion filters. You don't have any ringing like you would in a crystal filter. So that's one of the comments we get back from our customers is how clean the audio is and how it eliminates a lot of the fatigue that they are familiar with in the superhet roofing filter types of receivers that we've all been used to in the past. So those are a couple of things. I already mentioned networking, the fact that you're not that your radio becomes a server. In fact, my radio is in a rack, a 12U rolling rack under my desk, and the Maestro sits on top of the desk, and then I can walk around the house with either the Maestro or the iPad, and that changes the way you think about the radio. Also, because it's software, we're able to integrate it with other systems. For example, if you work digital or modes or RTTY, you might have an enormous rat's nest of cables and boxes and sound cards and all kinds of things to get a PAN adapter. All that goes away. Everything is done in digital. So if you're using MMTTY or two-tone or FL Digi, all of those applications communicate 100% digitally without a wire. And that gets rid of all the ground loops and problems, RF ingress that you have in a lot of the legacy systems we've been accustomed to. So those are a few of the things that you would notice right off on the front. The other thing is because we put a big S on SDR, it means that we are constantly enhancing the radio and do multiple feature enhancements and performance enhancements each year. And so it continues to be enhanced. In fact, there's a new one coming out to in the next week or two that will be coming out. So those are a few of the things that I think of top of mind.
All right. And before we go to break, Ralph Fedor was on and was telling us about the Bouvet Island DXpedition coming up. And they're going to be doing all software-defined Flex radios on this DXpedition. So how excited are you about that? And do you think that's going to start becoming the trend?
Well, we are honored to be a part of that DXpedition. That's a very remote, one of the most remote places on Earth. And K9CT, W0GJ, and N2TU are three serious DXpedition operators that are all Flex Radio aficionados, and they will be, I believe all three of them are going on that DXpedition. And so they have a lot of excitement about using our equipment in that environment. They used it in the background. W0GJ took it to Palmyra in testing there and just was blown away with how many QSOs it increased the rate, especially on 160 and 80 meters. They said it totally changed their perspective of the low bands because they were able to see and then work stations that they would have never have known were on the air with very heavy QSB. So that's number one. Also, I think there's a lot of interest in how they might use the client server aspect of our radios to remote the transmitter receivers in different places on the island for safety or for isolation between the transmitters and receivers. So there are a lot of capabilities there that I'm sure we'll be exploring over time. They'll be taking 8 of our stations to that DXpedition, so it's a major undertaking.
Yeah, that sounds really interested, and I'll be happy to hear how that all goes, and expect some record-breaking stuff going on that DXpedition. So sounds like a good plan. Well, it is time to pay some of the bills, but we'll be back in just a little over a minute and take your calls right after this message from the Ham Station right here on Ham Talk Live. This episode of Ham Talk Live is brought to you by the Ham Station. For over 37 years, the Ham Station has sold new and used radios, antennas, accessories, and equipment to hams everywhere. Give Dan or Jeff a call at 800-729-4373 or order online at hamstation.com. Ham Station carries all the major brands like ICOM, Yaesu, and Kenwood, and they have a wide selection of radio scanners, MFJ accessories, Heil sound products, amplifiers by Mirage and Ameritron, Cushcraft antennas, and more. Easy online ordering is at hamstation.com or call 1-800-729-4373 to place an order and talk it over with the experts. The Ham Station, proud to sponsor this episode of Ham Talk Live.
CQ, CQ, CQ. You're listening to Ham Talk Live with Neil Rapp.
Join the conversation. Call us on voice with Skype at Ham Talk Live or give us a call at 812-NET-HAM1. That's 812-638-4261. Now, here's more Ham Talk Live.
Welcome back to Ham Talk Live. The Ham Station has you covered for both new and used equipment. Give Dan or Jeff a call at 800-729-4373 or go to hamstation.com and tell them you heard it here on Ham Talk Live. Ham Talk Live is every Thursday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Time at hamtalklive.com. Check out our Facebook page and our Twitter feed. Just search for Ham Talk Live. Well, it's time to take your calls this evening. If you have a question, you can call us at 812-NET-HAM1. That's 812-638-4261. You can also Skype your question to Ham Talk Live. That's our account name. Or you can tweet at Ham Talk Live. You can also post in the comment section on the website if you're listening live. Give us a call or a tweet or a comment, and let's get your questions in here about Flex Radios and what K5SDR has been up to. While we're waiting on some of those calls, can you let us in on any exciting and new things coming up here in the future besides the software upgrade you just talked about?
I think that one of the things that we have made a little bit of noise about is that we have a new legal limit amplifier that is coming in the near future. We showed a early prototype last year in Dayton and have been relatively quiet about it since then, but it's nearing the beta phase within the next few weeks, and once we get it through FCC and CE certification, then we'll be able to be very specific about when it'll be available and start taking orders at that point. A few of the key things about it is that it's a 2 kW capable amplifier, which means it'll run nicely at 1.5 kW with very low distortion and low spurious harmonic output. It weighs less than 30 pounds. I actually carried it in on my shoulder in a bag in Dayton. It has a 3 kilowatt switching power supply in it. So it's designed to be very rugged but lightweight. So you'll probably see it going on DXpeditions as well. And one of the interesting features is that it is based on Ethernet, which means it'll totally integrate with our radios and with Maestro. In the future, what you'll see is if you're on Maestro remote, the amplifier, it'll show you the power output of the amplifier and the SWR coming out of the amplifier, even though you're not at the amplifier. And all of the switching and so forth will be over Ethernet. It'll also be compatible with any legacy radio with inputs for BCD, CAT, CI5, etc. So it'll be fully compatible with other radios as well. So we expect to be in production early next year. So that's an imminent development. We've been working very hard on complete seamless contest integration with the main loggers and eliminating all of the junk you had to have to make a contest station work in various configurations. In fact, K9CT says that he can switch from single operator to multi-2 to SO2R in a matter of just a few minutes on any mode. And so integration, station integration, you'll see a lot coming there. Coming out in our version 1.10 in the next couple of weeks, we've added the capability to have a fan out of USB to station control devices, including USB to serial, USB to BCD, and USB to binary control. And you can put a USB hub on the back of the radio and control a large number of station devices over a single USB port off the back of the radio. The radio does have 2 USB ports, so and you can set that up either from Maestro or from SmartSDR running on a PC. So that's a capability that's coming imminently, and then we are working toward now true plug-and-play remote. And station integration is one of the stepping stones in that. If you go remote, you need to have seamless station integration for multiple devices. So all those things play together.
Okay, we do have a call on the line, so let's see what we have. Welcome to Ham Talk Live. Who's this?
Hi, this is Vinny, KA2NCV in New York.
All right, what's your question? Yeah.
I have the Flex and the Maestro. I'm enjoying it. It's been a culture shock since, as Joe pointed out, the different not having the controls anymore. But one of the things I find sort of interesting or sort of upsetting is that I belong to one of the chat groups where there's always information about the problems that come across these software-defined radios, and every day there seems to be some kind of an issue, and I find it sort of discouraging with the technology on this radio. How much is that fact or fiction that everyone seems to have a problem with these software-defined issues?
Well, I think you would have to say that the main reason people would post is when they have a question. The people that are happily working away are not posting questions, and there are many thousands of them that are working away every day with just no problems at all. So you'll see. Go ahead.
No, I haven't really faced any of those issues, but it's just like I'm saying, like, what's going on here? It's every day there's another question pop up. This doesn't work. That doesn't work. I can't get this to work. It's very.
Yeah, a lot of times they don't have anything to do with our radios too. People use third-party applications like digital mode applications, or they're using something that somebody wrote to talk directly to our radios because we have a programming interface, and other people are writing software to control our radios. In fact, I saw a comment today on there where somebody else's software had caused a problem, but interestingly, we always get we always get credited even if it's someone else's problem. But the reason that people we have an extremely high utilization of our community in terms of activity, people are really engaged, and that's a good thing. But people feel very comfortable in asking a question. In the past, people could go dig in and try to solve the questions themselves, and you'd never hear about it. Today, we're all on the internet, and you hear about it.
Right. Well, thank you very much. It's a pleasure, and keep up the great work. I'm looking forward to the new amplifier coming out soon.
Thanks for calling.
Yep, thank you very much for calling. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
812-NET-HAM1 is the phone number, 812-638-4261. We've got time for another call or two. If you have a question, jump on in here. 812-NET-HAM1 is the number. Or if you'd rather type, you can tweet us at Ham Talk Live, or you can post a comment on the website as well there at hamtalklive.com. We'll pause here for just a minute and see if we get another call right away. But one of the things that I did want to ask you about is your success with all this software-defined radio. What's been the most rewarding part of getting this company going and getting all this SDR technology out there?
I don't think I can give you a single one. I'll have to give you a few. First of all, I love technology. I love being creative. And so it's been extremely rewarding to have an idea and then see it come into fruition and creation. And also, I've always loved building businesses, and to be able to do that in a hobby that I've loved since I was a teenager has been very rewarding. The third thing I would say is that when I first started this back in 2003, I had some opportunities to start speaking to various groups about SDR because people had read my articles. And beginning with Tapper invited me to speak in 2003. But each time I would speak to a group, I would ask, how many of you know what SDR is? And back in those days, I might get 3, 4, or 5 hands in a room of 100. Today, for example, if I go to Friedrichshafen for the ham radio convention there in Germany, and the room will be filled with 350 or 400 people sitting on the floor. And if I ask that same question, nearly 100% of the hands will go up. And so I would say it's extremely rewarding to have been a part of something that has an impact on a hobby that I love, ham radio. And so I would say that's probably the most rewarding part of it.
All right. Very good. We have another call. So welcome to Ham Talk Live. Who's this?
Hi, this is Steve, N8DEZ. I'm in California. And great to hear you guys tonight. I saw a talk from Dr. McGuire, N4HY, at the ERRL Digital Communication Conference, and he was talking about the new modulation that they're going to be using for AMSAT Phase 4, and mentioned Flex as a possible hardware manufacturer. I wonder if you could comment?
Yes, we've been collaborating with Bob and the team there at Virginia Tech. In fact, Steve Hicks is our VP of Engineering, and he's been working very closely with the team on that project. And it's still very early in terms of discussions of the architecture and how that might come to fruition. And, of course, you have to have a launch vehicle, too. But the answer is we're definitely involved in that and interested. We think it's a pretty exciting project.
Cool. The other question I had, I'm a VHF, UHF microwave contester, and I see a lot of the hacker groups have radios that are coming out now with the really whiz-bang FPGAs. I'm wondering if you guys have any thoughts about a radio that would operate natively in the VHF microwave band without having to use outboard transverters.
I would say that, I can't comment on any products, but I can say that there's some pretty exciting technology. The whole cell phone industry, as well as some of the Wi-Fi and moving up in frequencies, will probably make that over time more cost effective. And we're seeing digital analog converters and analog to digital converters starting to move up in frequency. So I think the possibility exists in the future for that to occur.
Very cool. And then one last question. What's the range on the Maestros if you were remoting it like in a de-expedition? What kind of range away from the box can you get with the Maestro?
Well, that would be like if you're in a de-expedition, you can use high-gain antennas and probably a little more power. So that would extend it. You can extend it by line of sight with gain antennas probably over a mile or more.
Oh, neat. Okay. Well, thank you so much for taking my questions, and you guys have a great night, 7-3.
Thank you for calling, Steve.
Yeah, thank you very much for calling. We appreciate you taking the time to do that. 812-NET-HAM1 is the number. I know we had another call there we couldn't take, and we have 3 minutes left, so we're going to have to make it a quick one here. But if you want to try calling back, now's the time. 812-NET-HAM1, 812-638-4261, and we'll see if we get that. Oh, and we also have one on Twitter here. Oh, let's go ahead and take the call. So I had to ignore it earlier. Hi, you're on Ham Talk Live.
Okay. Am I actually talking live right now?
You are.
Okay. Hey, my name is Jim. I call WB9IXS, and I'm in Wisconsin. I've been in touch with Matt Youngblood down at Flex Systems, and very, very close to purchasing the radio, looking at the 6500 and the Maestro. However, the more people I talk to, the more confusing it gets. I'm certainly new to software-defined radios, but very excited about the technology. So I looked at this last report, or not a report, but the write-up that was in the QSC about the Maestro. And one thing that's very, very confusing was this latency, and I truly don't understand that. I think there were some numbers as high as 400 milliseconds, and that's impossible. I couldn't ever use the machine. So maybe somebody can give me a quick explanation as to what is latency and how does it enter into software-defined radios?
Well, first of all, that's old data because we've radically reduced the latency since they actually did the review. Latency is the time between when the signal hits the antenna port and it comes out the audio. And those numbers of 400 milliseconds are completely inaccurate at this point. We also have the ability to vary. Well, let me kind of put it this way. We have what you call brick wall filters that are digital. They're much, much sharper and cleaner and low distortion than other filters. But the very, very large filters add some time to it. So we give you complete control over the sharpness of the filter versus the time it takes to go through the filter. So these radios are used in de-expeditions and contesting and putting in top scores in the world, especially in the RTTY contest that just happened. So latency is not really an issue now.
Yeah, I couldn't believe that when I saw that. And I have some other friends here that have competitors' FDR radios, if we can say that. And, of course, they didn't agree with that either. But good. Well, I'm glad to hear it. So what is the new numbers? What's the worst case with the bigger filters?
We got about 15 seconds here.
I don't have them on the top of my head. We could get them for you. I just don't remember them right now. And it's adjustable.
Drop me an email if you would, and we'll get that to you as well as some of the others that have asked the questions, if you would.
Like I said, I've been in touch with Matt on and off regularly as we get closer to making a purchase, so I'll send him an email, and we'll go from there. Appreciate it. Thank you. Nice job.
All right. Thank you very much. And yeah, we had another one come in on Twitter. We'll have to get that offline here because we're down to the last minute here, and I need to wrap things up. But Gerald, thank you so much for being on, and that's a wrap for this week's Ham Talk Live. I'd like to thank my guest, Gerald Youngblood, K5SDR, and everyone out there in cyberspace for listening and calling in, and invite you all back next Thursday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Time when Jim George, N3BB, will be here to talk about his book called Contact Sport. And for a list of all of our upcoming guests, visit hamtalklive.com. So for now, this is Neil Rapp, WB9VPG, saying 7375, and may the good DX be yours.